able to come today, so that's why we're going to be recording. And something else, si tienen preguntas en español, está bien. Tenemos una estudiante aquí, Jasmine, y escriben las preguntas en el chat and Jasmine va a responder. So gracias, Jasmine. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So if you're wondering, what is IB? Let's start there. IB stands for International Baccalaureate. And if you're still like, that doesn't clear things up, I'll just tell you, IB was founded in 1968. And the idea, we'll get into a little bit more in the mission statement, but the idea was really, if we create a unified global educational system, then maybe people will be more likely to be peaceful towards one another. So really the mission statement is about world peace. And there are over 5,000 IB World Schools around the globe, which I think is pretty cool. That students that join in are part of this huge global community. And IB has several programs. There's a primary years program for elementary schoolers. Middle school is the MYP program. And we are super fortunate that we have two programs right here at Southridge, the IB Diploma program and the IB Career Related program. So we are going to walk you through both of those tonight. So if you're wondering, why IB? What is so great about IB? Well, there's lots of great things about IB. Here are just a few. A lot of people consider the full diploma and the career-related program the most rigorous path to graduation. Our students are really, really prepared for college and career. In the state of Oregon, it is law that students who score at least a 4 and above, and I'll tell you a little bit more about scores in a little bit, can earn college credit at Oregon universities. One of the major founding situations about IB is that you get international perspectives, and I think that's really important, and that works towards the idea of world peace. All of the teachers that teach IB have gone through a rigorous IB training. It's recognized worldwide. So if you're a student who really has like aspirations of going abroad to school, IB is a great way to prepare you for that. The other thing that I personally really like about IB is it's not just study, study, study for one test. It's let's have meaningful extracurricular learning as well. Really, one of the other things we try to do is develop critical thinking skills, not simply memorization, but how do we think about things, and how do we know what we know, and why do we think certain ways? The other idea too is that through the learner profile, which we'll be talking about in a minute, there's a hope to develop character amongst our students. And at Southridge, both IB and CP candidates with a small GPA requirement can become Southridge scholars. So those are some reasons why IB, but also really quickly, the average acceptance rate for college is 22% higher than the average acceptance rate in the total population. And another thing that's kind of cool about the career-related program is that admissions officers are finding that students who are part of the career-related program are actually less likely to change their major once they get to college, which can save money in the long run too. But why, those are just some bullet points of why IB, but we actually have some fabulous, wonderful IB students with us here today who are going to introduce themselves and say why they chose to pursue IB. We have some students from the diploma program, which again, I'll tell you what all those mean in a little bit, and the career-related program. So let's see if we can have Brooklyn, Jasmine, Ellie, and I don't know if anyone else showed up yet, but let's just start with you guys. So just please introduce yourselves and say why you chose to pursue IB, and also what are you getting out of being part of IB at Southridge? So Brooklyn, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, sure. So one reason that I chose the IB diploma was because I kind of would get more options of what I wanted to do. Like if I wanted to look into a more prestigious college, I could, I have a higher chance of getting in. And also that I could go straight to sophomore year if I chose an Oregon school, which would be really nice too. And also overall, I get to like learn and grow a lot from the IB diploma program.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Brooklyn. Jasmine, who is also part of our dual language program at Southridge. So Jasmine, take it away, please.
Hi. I joined originally. I joined the IB diploma program for the college credit. That was really tempting for me, but I've kind of grown to like love the community and the teachers and the people that are all in the program. So like if you're excited to learn or whatever and you enjoy learning new things, then it's going to be a really good fit, I think.
Awesome. Great. So it was like the monetary value that brought you in, but it's just the awesomeness of the community that is causing you to stay. I like it. Okay. And both Jasmine and Brooklyn are part of our diploma program, and Ellie is part of our career related program. So, Ellie, can you introduce yourself and tell us about IB for you?
Yeah, hi. So my name is Ellie, and I am in the sports management at Southridge. I'm doing the CP, and what that means is that I can have the potential to get a head start in the career choice that I want to go into, which is either nursing or sports medicine. I haven't quite decided, but I could, if I wanted to, and not go to college with the sports medicine program, I could just find a job straight away. Or a lot of colleges are really interested in kids who are very focused on what they want to do. And so I already have a head start in the courses that I'm interested in. And so I get to know whether I like them or not and pursue them.
Yeah, that's great. And that is one wonderful thing about the CP. It's really giving you a chance to try out your career path too. So these guys will be here for a little while. If you have any questions for them, you can put them in the chat to all of us and they can respond. They might have to step out and do some homework or, some other extracurricular activities, but they're here for now. So if you think of any questions for the students, please go ahead and put them in the chat. We also have a couple other people here to introduce you to. First of all, our career-related program coordinator, who I've just been sort of like talking this whole time, is Mr. Wayne Grimm, and he's going to tell you about the career-related program in a little bit. So this is Mr. Wayne Grimm.
Hello, everybody.
And we have two administrators here. We have our principal, Mr. David Nieslanik, and our vice principal, Lori Crum, Miss Lori Crum. So if you guys would like to say hi and welcome to everybody before you head off to other administrative duties, that would be fantastic.
Natalie, thank you for the welcome and introduction, and hello to everyone. And a special shout out to Brooklyn, Ellie, Jasmine, and any other student on the screen tonight. The voice of students is critical in the work that we're doing and making sure that our school is whole, making sure that we're thoughtful and inclusive and meeting the needs of our learners. To all the parents joining us, thank you for stepping in this evening. It's much, much appreciated. I honor the work you're doing and honor the work that you have to make sure that we are meeting the needs of our kids. And if you have any feedback, please give it to Wayne, Natalie, Lori, or myself. I unfortunately am unable to stay this evening. I'm actually in 2 Zooms right now. I'm in the equity policy Zoom meeting for the district, and I'm jumping into this one just to say hello. So I'm going to politely exit and wish you all a fantastic evening.
Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Nieslanik. And Ms. Crum, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. I am Lori Crum. Again, thank you to our students for being here, but also thank you for everybody. Finding out more about IB and the opportunities that it provides our students, it provides our school, is so worth the time. And I think sometimes just hearing about it and hearing the enthusiasm in our coordinators and our students' voice helps just showcase the great opportunities that it is. And if you have any questions, reach out to anybody in the building and we will be happy to guide you. Even just one class, the CP program, the DP program, we're going to learn all about it and take you on this fun ride. So I'll be here for a bit. I have a 6:30, so I'll pop in and out.
Awesome. Thank you, Ms. Crum. And thank you, everybody, for introducing yourselves, and students. Thank you for being here and talking about your experience. If you want to chime in while I'm talking about anything, feel free to chime in. Okay, don't feel bad. Just unmute yourself and be like, Ms. Ballard. All right, so let's get started. This was a former IB grad I don't think I need to read you the entire thing because we just heard from our current students right now. But this student said she knew IB would be valuable, but didn't realize how important it was till she got to college. She brought in a ton of credits and she was totally ready to go for college. And she got a double major with 2 minors, which was pretty incredible. She said it was one of the best decisions she ever made. So let's talk about the mission statement. I mentioned at the beginning that the mission was about world peace. So I just wanted to put this up here and just read you the last bit, which is my favorite part. These programs encourage students across the world to become active, compassionate, and lifelong learners who understand that other people with their differences can also be right. And I find that very important as, people living in a global community. And you'll see there's nothing necessarily in this mission statement about earning college credit, but that's just a little bonus. So we have a more peaceful world and rigorous education and lifelong learners, but then we also get the bonus living here if you go to a school in Oregon specifically, and some other schools around the country as well, the benefit of earning college credit at the same time. One of the things that makes IB unique is everything that we do is centered around this IB learner profile. And I'm going to let Mr. Grimm talk to you a little bit about the IB learner profile.
Hi again, I'm Mr. Grimm, the school's library and instructional technology teacher, and I'm also the coordinator for the IB career program, which we'll get into more detail in a bit. One of the things that really defines an IB education is this idea of the IB learner profile and trying to teach to the whole individual. And you can see in all the classes, it doesn't matter what subject area, the curriculum is built and the teachers are trained to nurture students as inquirers, doing research, as knowledgeable and thinkers, as communication skills are stressed, again, across the curriculum, even in the IB math classes and so on. But also to be principled individuals, open-minded, that ties into the mission statement that you just heard, to be caring of others, to be risk takers, to be balanced. And that becomes definitely key for students who are taking on like the full IB diploma program, and to be reflective. And that is something big that comes up, not just to learn, but to look back and find out what you did and how you got there. And that again, that learner profile applies to every IB class we offer.
Yeah, and again, I think it's just a really good way to view the world. Not just being so single-minded and everything, but trying to develop all these traits. I just learned we also have before we get into these programs, we also have the parent of a DP graduate here with us too, who offered to talk about just a little bit, introduce herself and say maybe what her perspective is from having a student who I believe was Abby Frank, one of our amazing students last year. So I believe it's Elena Frank in the room. Elena, if you would, that would be wonderful if you could introduce yourself.
Hi, sure. Yes, it was Abby Frank, and she did the DP program. And it was a little strange with being in the COVID years, but those students did go through the normal program, despite being a lot of it on Zoom.
Yeah.
But it was, no lie, it was a lot of work, and it was a lot of homework, and it was extra work with doing the community service and the extended essay, but it was very much worth it. She is entering university at a selective school as a junior by credits based on IB and AP credits and dual credits. So it is possible, and that is an out-of-state selective school. So it's not just Oregon schools. And she really gained a lot by being in that community of students who had a number of classes together. They formed study groups together where they would work outside of school, meet at the Beaverton Library to work. And it was really a core group of kids who were in the same advisory and in many of the same classes. And it was a really great experience, but it is a lot of work and it takes a lot of dedication to do.
And Abby's taking a gap year and traveling the world this year.
She
right?
is. She's currently in Kenya.
Wow. So Abby is actually living the learner profile and the mission statement as we speak, right? Like Abby is, wow, that's great. So I think that's another thing too, which is really cool about what she did, is you don't have to necessarily immediately jump right into like a high pressure school, right? When you're done, you can go get these other experiences that I'm so happy she's doing. It's really exciting. So thank you, Elena. And also, I bet, I don't want to speak for you, but if other parents have questions for Elena, would you mind if they put them in the chat for you too?
Absolutely. And I'm very well versed in the college admissions process with an IB student and what that means and what that can translate into. I'm happy to answer those questions too.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Awesome. So we, like I mentioned at the beginning, IB actually has 4 programs, and we have 2 in Southridge, and we are one of only 2 schools in the entire state that has both. You can see along the bottom of this slide, we have the diploma program, the career-related program, our career and technical education programs, which Mr. Grimm will talk to you about in a little bit too. We have some pathways that students can do, which are not related to IB necessarily. And we also have the fabulous dual language program, which I would say, I think it might be a misnomer to think that dual language and IB are at odds, because IB and dual language are like absolutely perfectly married together. Because one of the things about IB is language studies. Both programs have that, and both programs have this idea that you should have an international perspective and think about people in different cultures. So really dual language leads into IB in a fantastic way. So these are the programs, and we will walk you through them in a minute. I'm going to move past this slide. So the first one I mentioned was the diploma program. This is where students over the course of their junior and senior year have to take 6 IB courses, 6 subjects. 3 of them can be higher level. That's what the HL stands for, and 3 can be standard level. However, we do have students every year who choose to do 4 higher level and 2 standard level. You can't do 4 standard level and 2 higher level. The thing about higher level and standard level is it's just a question of depth and time. In, for example, say a higher level English class, you are reading more works and going more in depth to them over the course of 2 years than you are, say, if we don't offer standard level literature, but if we did, it would be fewer works. We do have standard level language and literature, which is a great course as well. And I can talk to you more about the specifics of those courses as well. But this for now, I'm just telling you the difference between HL and SL. Some of the SL courses are 1 year, some are 2 years, but all of the higher level courses are over the course of 2 years. If you want to pursue your IB diploma, you also get to take this fantastic, marvelous, mind-blowing class called Theory of Knowledge, which we call TOK. And it's a semester course that starts at the end of your junior year and continues into your senior year. IB has these things called groups, which is very confusing to everybody, but it really is just like subject areas. So we have like a group for studying, language and literature, and we have a group for language acquisition, and we have a group for science and social studies and math. So it's just the way that they term things. It can be confusing, but it's just subject areas. And you have to take 1 subject from each group. Group 6 is an arts, and if you're not artistic and you're like, I can't draw, or I don't do singing or whatever, you can do 2 subjects from either language acquisition, science, or social studies. So if you want to do the IB diploma, we don't just say good luck figuring that out. We say you can meet with me, and we have a specific counselor, Mr. Martin, who will work with both our career-related program students and our diploma program students to make sure that they are forecasting for what they need. So that's a little bit of extra TLC, so we know that we have students going in the right direction and they're not just good luck. So that's what you would do if you wanted to do the IB diploma, which is different from just taking an IB course. I want to just say that too. Anybody can take any IB course they want to. If you say, I just love physics, I just want to take HL physics, and I want nothing to do with the rest of it, that is totally okay too. We do not have a special admissions process. You don't have to fill out an application to get into an IB class. You self-select and you just join up. Same with the diploma. If you want to do it, you just say, I'm committed, and there you go. So again, these are the different groups. You also get to do something if you're doing the if you're doing the diploma, called the extended essay, which is an essay on a subject of your choice. I'm not ignoring this reflective project bit. Mr. Grimm's going to talk about that for the career related program. We were talking about doing things outside of school too. If you do the diploma, we expect you to do something that IB calls CAS, which stands for Creativity, Activity, and Service. And generally speaking, these are things a lot of our students are doing anyway. So Southridge will go back to having a learning or service learning requirement next year. We kind of put things on hold because of the pandemic, but doing service learning, and some of that's in the school and some of it's outside of the school. Activity, meaning physical activity. And if you're like, oh my gosh, I don't do sports, I'm not a sports person, don't worry. You do not have to join a team sport to be in the IB diploma. You can do something personal like training for a 5K or working up to a hike in the gorge that you've been wanting to get to, or making a goal to bike 3 times a week to school, something like that. It's just this idea that you're doing something physical as well. And then creativity. One year we had students, a bunch of them together, took a candle making class, and that counted as creativity. So these are some things that you would do if you were joining the diploma program. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Grimm to tell you what the career-related program requirements are.
The career-related program, as Ms. Ballard said, we're one of only 2 schools in Oregon that offers it. That is fairly new to the IB as a whole. And it's really designed for students who already have a pretty solid career focus in mind. For Southridge students, that means students who are pursuing one of our CTE pathways, the Career and Technical Education pathways. And I don't know if they're listed on the next strand, but at Southridge, that's our sport. Yes, there they are. Thank you. Our business and marketing pathway. There's an engineering and computer tech pathway, which are actually 2 separate pathways as will be. We have the communication arts journalism pathway and sports medicine. In addition to those that are housed at Southridge, Southridge students can also apply to take part in the health careers pathway program, which is housed at Beaverton High School, or Auto Tech over at Aloha. And actually new this year, and I haven't seen the application come out yet, there's also a manufacturing pathway housed at Westview that students can apply to. Those magnet programs that are off campus at Beaverton High or Aloha, those are actually awarded by lottery. So all Southridge students who are interested can apply, but getting in is not guaranteed. I do advise any student who is interested in those programs, though, to look at the backup programs we have at Southridge, because students who apply to health careers but maybe don't get in can find a lot to love about our sports medicine program. And they take actually a lot of the same coursework to get those foundations. The same thing with students who are interested in auto tech. If they don't get into that, our engineering pathway offers a lot to those students as well. So if taking the CTE strand is a core part of doing the IB career program. In addition, though, to actually get the full IB career program certificate, students would take at least 2 IB courses. And one of those does have to straddle 2 years, the junior and senior year. Most Southridge students will probably end up taking 2 IB classes anyway, because there are so many options in all subject areas as well. In addition, for the career program, you would need to study a language during your junior and senior year. We have American Sign Language, we have Spanish, we have French. At Southridge, some students are actually able to do a self-study as well, and study a language that we don't offer and still satisfy the requirements of the career program. We do have a course that's specific to the career program that's called Personal and Professional Skills. You see it there as PPS. And that is really a great course designed really to help you figure out what skills are going to be essential for succeeding in your career of choice. And students are really able to tailor what they focus on in that class to the career pathway that they are studying. And the course actually straddles the second semester of your junior year and the first semester of senior year. And as part of that course, students work on the reflective project, which is a little like the extended essay that Ms. Ballard mentioned as part of the diploma program. For the career program students, it gives them a chance to really do a deep dive into a current ethical dilemma within the career pathway of their choice. So it's very relevant, very real, and it also gives them that solid sort of research and analysis background that has helped so many kids when they go off to college. Service learning is also a requirement of the career program, but of course, that's a graduation requirement for Southridge as well. So what I've found that a lot of students who are already interested in a CTE program find that they're already meeting most of these other requirements. So it can be a really neat way to get involved in an IB program.
All right. Great, thank you. So, I kind of jumped ahead of myself when I was explaining the difference between HL and SL. Again, HL courses are 2 years long. You have to have in IB world 240 hours minimum. Standard level courses can be 1 to 2 years because we need 150 hours. We have lots of great standard level courses at Southridge too. Some really popular 1-year courses like IB Geo or IB Social and Cultural Anthropology. Those are both standard level. The difference with college credit is that you would get more college credit for HL courses. So I've noticed there were a lot of questions about language in the chat for the CP. Mr. Graham, do you want to, I was just typing back to people that it's great if you've done 9th and 10th grade in a language, but you have to be doing some sort of language development during the course of the CP, but no, they do not have to be in the same language they did 9th and 10th. So maybe you did ASL in 9th and 10th grade year and you were like, oh, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to do Spanish. You could just do Spanish 1 or Spanish 2, or you could continue on with ASL self-study. Did you want to say?
Yeah, I was going to say, and I've had students in all different kinds of situations. There are some students who had studied the language for 3 years, and then suddenly their senior year, they didn't have room for it in their schedules with their career program. And so they moved over to self-study and were able to continue enriching themselves in the language and still fulfill that requirement for the career program. So it's very flexible. Other students have chosen to study a language that we simply do not offer at Southridge. And it's a great opportunity to do that and work with a language mentor and enrich themselves in that way as well.
I actually have a question on
yeah.
that. So for IB diploma though, we can't do the self-study, right?
No,
Okay.
no, IB diploma, sorry, Brooklyn. IB diploma, you have got to be doing language acquisition. And the only 2 options we have at Southridge for that are Spanish and French, of which, depending on people's diploma plans, some people really wanted to study higher level language. Great, they can do that. But other people that maybe came in at Spanish 1 or 2 their freshman year and aren't quite there would do like Spanish SL. Their junior and senior year, and the requirements are different, same with the number of hours and even the things that you do within the courses. Yeah. So these are the higher level courses we offer: English literature, Spanish and French, history, psych, biophysics, a course called Math Analysis and Approaches. Those are our higher level courses. And we have a lot of standard level courses. English language and literature. We also, this was slightly old. I'm sorry, I should have written it on there. We have, starting this year, which is super cool, the same course, language and literature, only offered in Spanish. And a lot of our dual language kids will go on and continue on with that one. We have psych and business and geo, and anthro is not on here. I have a whole big list that's updated on the course selection website that's going to be coming out to students tomorrow in advisory, which has every single course we offer at Southridge, that every single IB course, and there are over 30. So, and we're adding them all the time. For example, this year we added biología too. So the DL students can take biology in Spanish. Anyone can. So it's really cool. We're adding things all the time. So look for a more updated list. I apologize. Oh, well, here we go. I got ahead of myself again. Okay, here are the new courses for this year. 2 of them in Spanish, which I think is pretty awesome. All right, so we talked about language developments for the IBCP core requirements, but maybe we can talk a little bit more, Mr. Grimm, about the PPS course and the reflective project, and then I don't know if we have any CP seniors here that can maybe talk about their reflective project. I think the juniors, Ellie, you're probably or you probably haven't started your reflective project yet. Okay, well, if you think of anything you want to jump in, feel free to jump in. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Grimm.
Gotcha. Yeah, I did touch on this when we were already on the CP slide. That personal professional skills course, really working at developing those skills that the person needs to be successful in the world outside of high school, and being able to tailor that to the career of interest that you're already exploring. The service learning can be done really in just about any format. And the requirement there is 50 hours, and it's basically, like I said, a graduation requirement for Southridge anyway. I think we answered a lot of the questions about language development and the different ways people can do that. And the reflective project, again, is looking at that ethical dilemma within the career of their choice. There was a question that I saw in the chat earlier I can address right now as well. Since the CTE pathway is really the core of this program, the question was, well, don't those classes have a maximum size? Don't they get capped at a certain point? And it is possible that a student would not be able to get into one of the CTE classes in the semester that they first wanted it. However, when a student is committed to a pathway and is working with their counselor on that, we make sure they get those courses. And the requirements for each of the pathways are such that they can be completed in different ways. So there's puzzle pieces we can move around to make sure that a student can complete the pathway, even if one particular class is capped for one particular semester. We can find a way to make that work.
Yeah, and I think because the CP students and the DP students have their own counselor, and they do get a little bit of more TLC in that case to make sure they get what they need. Someone asked in the chat, can you take external language classes for the diploma program? No, unfortunately, no. That being said, there is the rare instance, which has only happened once in the last 10 years that I can remember at Southridge, where maybe a native speaker from another country wants to study language in their native language, in which case you can do something called a self-study for the literature option. But it's rare, and you'd have to be very driven and motivated and know the language very, very well. So pretty much the short answer is no, unfortunately, no. All right, so the diploma core, those pictures, pictures we showed before that were circles that had all these that I said we'll talk about later. At the center of that, there's something called the core, and that's kind of like IB is not just about the courses, it's about other things as well. And so those are the core requirements, like Mr. Grimm was just talking about, the reflective project and service learning. Well, for the diploma, the 3 core requirements are the extended essay, this creativity, activity and service, which we already talked about a little bit, and theory of knowledge of the course. I'll just briefly hit upon the extended essay. Students start in the spring of their junior year, choosing a topic that is related to one of the IB subjects that we offer at Southridge, but they get to choose their own idea, which makes it really personalized and cool. And they work with a faculty advisor, and they work on that essay over the course of the spring and the summer. And then in the fall, they turn in a draft, they have a conference, they work with their supervisor some more, and then they turn it into IB. It's externally assessed. So IB can say what grade is given to the extended essay, but it can be really awesome. I teach English, and so I've worked with students who've chosen to do their extended essays in literature before, and we've had students who have really kind of found things about themselves through the process, which is what it's meant to be. Now, just in the interest of full disclosure, it's not always that way, but I have students who said, whatever their topic was, it ended up changing their lives in a better way, in a different, made them think about the world in a different way. So that's the extended essay. And creativity, activity, service, I mentioned. Theory of knowledge is the tagline for theory of knowledge is, how do we know what we know? And honestly, Mr. Grimm and I both wish that we would have gotten to take this class when we were younger, because it's just really interesting and thought-provoking. And honestly, even if you're not doing the IB, diploma, I think everybody should take this course because it's so interesting. So you can take it whether you're in the diploma or not. You can take it for 1 year or 2 years. It's totally up to you. But it's really fascinating course. And I'm going to be putting a little video from our junior year TOK teacher up on the course selection website. So if you want to hear a little bit more about that, you can hear what goes on there. So CAS again takes place from September when you start the diploma till April of your senior year. There are certain learning outcomes. I'm not going to go over this whole thing now, but you would meet with an advisor and say, this is how I'm meeting the outcomes. Like this picture down here at the bottom that says finish. This was a 5K we put on 1 year at Southridge, and it was called IB Miles from Matale, because Matale is our sister school in Uganda, and we raised a bunch of money and we sent some Lego robotics kits and some computers to our sister school in Uganda, which that's, the idea is that it's engaged in a global in a global way in the world with service and good things for students to learn and helping other people, et cetera, et cetera. So the extended essay I already talked about, theory of knowledge, I already talked about, geez, I just am kind of getting ahead of myself on a bunch of these slides. But here's another thing that I didn't mention. Can that students consider the role of nature and knowledge in their own culture, which is also kind of cool, and becoming more aware of themselves as thinkers, recognizing the need to act responsibly in an interconnected but uncertain world. That directly speaks to the IB learner profile that we were talking about at the beginning. So if a student wants to do the diploma, there's lots of different ways you can do it. Our former coordinator used to say you can make it as easy or as hard as you want to. And that's where you sit down with Mr. Martin specifically, and me also, to try to figure out what your diploma plan would look like. So here's an example. So a student could take English A, literature in HL, French in SL, geography in SL, physics in HL, math in HL, and visual arts in SL, also the TOK, and then maybe do their extended essay in physics. Here's another option. And I wasn't trying to ignore Lang and Lit, but we did the Lang and Lit's new this year. So this was from last year. You could take, HL literature, Spanish B in SL, psych in HL, bio, chem, math, and TOK. Yeah. Sorry, was there a question that I? Okay. All right, moving on. Sorry about that. So here, Mr. Grimm can talk to you about this, but here's some plans that an IBCP candidate might do.
So again, one of the things to keep in mind with the career program is that language study does need to happen over both years. This student in this example is taking French 3 junior year and IB French SL the senior year. Another thing to keep in mind when forecasting for junior senior year is that you need to take at least 2 IB classes beyond the PPS, beyond the personal and professional skills classes. And one of those has to straddle 2 years. And so you can see here, there's IB biology as an HL class, as junior and senior year. And then he's got that IB French class as well. The health careers, of course, for them is the CTE pathway that the student is studying for that example.
All right. So this, the reason we put this on here is a lot of people have questions about math, and there are lots of options. So I'm just going to briefly share this with you. And then if you want to look at it again, we can show you at how to get on the Southridge website that will put you to this exact flow chart. But these are the options. So a student can do, we have 2 different IB math courses. One is called analysis and application analysis and interpretations, and the other one is called applications and, sorry, I totally messed that up, didn't I? So analysis and interpretations and applications and application. Oh my gosh, I'm a mess on this one. Well, you can see here that and actually one of them now is called data science. So say that a student, are you guys, any of the students taking data science right now? Are any one of you guys taking that? Or are you guys all in a different math? Which math are you guys in?
I'm in HL1.
Okay, and anyone in data science that's going to test in SL next year? Okay, so the reason it's partially so confusing is because we have all these different names. So data science, if you have a student who's going to be in data science, say their sophomore year, they might likely go into this pathway right here, SL applications, which was formerly called AGS 3, and then they would go into applications 2, and they could test at that level. It really just depends on what level they came in. So say you came in as a freshman and you're taking AGS 1 and you took AGS 2 as a sophomore, then you took SL applications 1, which is basically data science. Then as a senior, you could test in IB SL applications. And the reason I keep saying could test is because if you're not doing the CP or the diploma, if you're just taking IB classes, you don't have to take a test. You can just take the class for the joy of being in the class. Now, you're not necessarily earning college credit for that class, because in order to earn college credit, you have to do certain things called internal assessments and sit for the exams, but you can still take the class even without doing those things. So this top strand is basically what a student would do who came into Southridge at AGS 1. Now, some students come in at a different level than that, so they could end up in, like Ellie just said, HL, was that Ellie or Jasmine? HL Math 1 and 2, and test in math HL2 their senior year. The main thing with math is really you've got to talk to your math teacher and ask them, because unlike the other courses where remember I said at the beginning you could self-select, math, you need the teacher to tell you, hey, this is where you should be going. And it really depends on where you came in. But math is not going to prohibit you from earning your IB diploma, because there's like a pathway for everyone to get there, even if math is not your greatest forte. Do you want to say something about math, Mr. Grimm?
I was going to jump in and say just a couple of things. One, the best way, there's a couple of questions in chat, specific questions about students. The best way to find out what your best next math class will be is to talk to your current math teacher. They are most familiar with the pathways and so on. In general, I would say the post AGS 3 route is, if you really intend on continuing on in math, if it's something that sparks your interest, probably that pre-calc, what we call the SL analysis strand would be the way to go. The applications would be the other option. But the other thing I wanted to mention, though, which is not about math at all, but the way they've got the pathway lined up in diagram format, all of the career pathways have similar diagrams on our academic program planning page on the website. So when students go into forecast and they're clicking through the academic program guide, every single career pathway has a diagram that I find, personally at least, to be the best way to figure out what classes are required, what order do I need to take them in. So look for those diagrams where you can. They're really helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I would say just really quickly about even if you come in as there looks like there's a couple questions about people that are already in AGS 3 or ninth graders taking AGS 3. If you're interested in testing in IB, you need to be taking the HL course your junior and senior year. You cannot test at HL level at the end of your junior year. It's not allowed by IB. So if you were like, I just want to get done and take an SL math class after AGS 3 and test at the end of my junior year, that's totally fine. You can do that. Or what you can do is you can say you're taking this as a freshman. You could take SL Analysis 1, which is our pre-calc course here. And then your senior year, your junior year, you take HL Analysis 1, and your senior year, you take HL Analysis 2. But the main thing with math, like really the most important thing that you can do is talk to your math teacher. And the other thing I really just have to stress, IB is a program for 17 through 19-year-olds or 16 through 19-year-olds. So we cannot do IB classes that students can test in their freshman and sophomore year. It's not allowed. We can't do it. the school would get into big trouble if we did that. Now you might be saying, but wait, my student's a sophomore and they're in IB Chem right now. Basically what we did is IB Chem is a 1-year course. We just kind of like split it into 2 years. So students would have more time to be ready for the IB SL at the end of their junior year. And that's why it's called IB Chem their sophomore year, but it's not, nobody could test at the end of their sophomore year in IB Chem because they're not finished. So there was a question for, let's see. Yes, you can also take, thank you, Sydney's mom. I was like, is that Sydney? Is Sydney here? You can fill a year with AP stats too. There's other things you can do. But yeah, I have to really stress that you, as a sophomore and freshman, you cannot take IB classes that you're going to test in. I noticed there was a question for the students about the IB tests, and I don't actually know if any of our seniors, well, even if our seniors were here, actually, because of last year being a pandemic year, we did not actually sit for exams the way that they normally would be. So not even our seniors have taken an IB exam. They will be this year. Do we have any seniors here that have been prepared by their teachers at all for the IB tests yet? No. No. Okay, we'll talk about those a little bit more at the end, but yeah, nobody. This is going to be interesting because not even the seniors have done it. Okay, so anyway, math, talk to your math teacher, and I apologize for getting so incredibly tongue-tied on that sequence there, my goodness. So science options, we talked a little bit, so all freshmen take physics, and then the IB Chem I just mentioned a little bit, so they have choices, and actually this should have another arrow on there too, because like I mentioned, now we also offer a biology SL in Spanish. So that's an option too. Biology is a very popular HL course at Southridge. We have physics students every year do IB physics, or our students can just continue on to chem and do SL chemistry at the end of their junior year. All right, so that's a great question in the chat. It just says, is there anything specific you need to do to indicate that you want to do the CP or just forecast? Yes, absolutely. Okay, this is very important. Thank you so much for asking that. If you want to take just any IB class, just forecast for it. You don't have to do anything special. But if you want to do the CP or the diploma, when you fill out, there's going to be a form that you fill out in advisory. You need to indicate on the form that you want to do either the diploma program or the career-related program, because that way, Mr. Grimm, myself, and Mr. Martin can catch you, and we can talk to you, and we can say, here's what you really, really, really need to do. The other thing you need to do, and if you want to do the career-related program, and this will like give us a little flag that you're interested in the career-related program specifically, is forecast for the personal and professional skills course. And what we've done in the past is looked at a list of all those kids that forecasted for that course, and then said, hey, do you guys want to, are you just forecasting for that because it's an interesting class, or are you planning to do the IB career-related program? In which case, then we catch you and we can talk to you and we can help you make sure you have what you need to have. So hopefully that answered your question. Yes, you can absolutely get college credit for 3 IB classes, even if you're in no program, as long as you sit for the exams, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Oh, here we are, exams. Okay, so IB has a special thing. And Mr. Grimm, feel free to cut me off at any point and jump on in if you want to add anything. But IB is not assessed just by one big test at the end of the course. You have 2 different kinds of assessments. You have internal assessments and you have external assessments. Internal assessments are things we do in class that are graded and assessed by the teacher. However, they're moderated by the IB. So in non-pandemic years, they would just ask for like 5 of those, essays or whatever, and see if our grading was along the right track. But let me give you an example from the course I teach, English. The students in the IB HL literature class, and also in Lang and Lit, do something similar. The internal assessment is called and independent oral. So what they do is they prepare some pieces of text and they come in and they sit with the teacher, and the teacher records it and asks them questions, gives them a grade, and then we send that off to IB. The external assessment, those are the final written examinations, i.e. tests that happen in May. This year they start April 28th, but generally they're the first 3 weeks of May. Those are sent off to IB examiners and they are fully graded by IB. The teachers can't even look at them. The teachers can't even be in a room around those assessments. So it's not just up to any random idea of what might be good to some examiner in a different country. There are very, very strict rules for how these things are graded. So criterion reference grading is used throughout, and the examiners are, like I said, international. They can be anywhere all over the planet, but they're all going to be using the same rubric. Mr. Grimm, do you want to say anything else about the assessment on that?
I think that's great because it's neat that it's a balance there of the internal assessment and the external exam, because the internal assessment is really a class project. You work on it with the teacher, you get that extra support to build that product together. And then the exam, the external assessment, is more like a formal standardized test like we might be used to in a quiet room with a timer and everything that is sent off for that really balanced, I guess, international assessment.
And I would say there is a major difference between like the ACT and the SAT. And there are only 3 exams offered by IB for courses we have at Southridge that are multiple choice. The rest are like essay or short answer or case studies, things like that. They're much more, they're not just bubbling. There's very little, but there's no bubbling. They don't even have a bubble sheet. It's just very different. But it's a different kind of test, and all the students will be prepared by the teachers for those tests in class.
And the purpose is very different too. If I can just talk to the question in the chat, because they are very subject specific. Each exam is its own subject test, and it's not really created for the college admissions model like the SAT or the ACT is. So most students still take those college assessments tests, the SAT and the ACT, although there are some universities that no longer require those.
Right, that's true. In fact, I think most of them, a lot this year, are optional, right? They're saying SAT as ACT optional. Because there's a lot of like minutia about awarding the diploma coming up that I don't actually think we need to go into right now at this moment. We'll do that if you join the IB diploma. We'll do lots of minutia, but I wanted to give before, since we only, it's approaching 7, and I think I noticed another student sneaked in here. Sky, did you come in? Do you want to introduce yourself and say why you were taking IB? And then if there are any questions for the students, we can have some questions for them before they have to run off.
Sure. Hi, I'm Sky, and I'm in the diploma program, and I originally joined because it really does kind of push you academically, and I think that there's a lot of internal value in that. And with CAS and everything, it just really does make you a better person. And kind of what Jasmine was saying earlier is you really do stay for the community, and I really value the college credit. So that's really cool.
Thanks, Guy. Awesome. Do you guys have any specific questions for the students? Right now, before we move on to, just a few other things. Anything? I know someone had asked the students about the exam, and I wasn't trying to like talk over them. It's just none of the students have done one yet, so they don't know. But anything else you guys want to say at all?
I think one thing too, unless anybody has any questions, but like, I think it's super intimidating at first because it's like a lot coming at you, but like, I feel like with the teachers and everything, they really help ease your way into it. And like not only that, it's actually fun to learn through the IB diploma programs and things. And so it's actually like fun to do this stuff now. It's not just like, ugh, it's more school. It's, it's actually, they make it interesting. So that's why I'd really like push to do a lot of IB classes.
And we totally did not tell Brooklyn to say that ahead of time, but she had a script that that's great. I think too, yeah, that's one thing that I've noticed about my experience with the other IB teachers is a lot of them are very passionate about what they're doing, and the students are passionate about learning. So if everybody's all excited about what we're doing, it makes it a lot more like engaging, I think. Any questions for the students at all before we let them? Jasmine, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I wanted to do a quick little, we didn't like it, what TOK wasn't like talked about a bunch. I know a class called Theory of Knowledge can sound like kind of intimidating. It was super intimidating sounding to me when I first heard about it, and I wasn't sure about the class. But even if you decide against IB, I would recommend the class anyway. It's taught by Mr. Griffin. He's a wonderful teacher, and the class isn't like terrifying at all. It's really interesting. There's a lot of like really good and like depthful discussions. So I think it's really worth the class.
Yeah, thanks, Jasmine. I would say that too. I wish it was a requirement for every student at Southridge. That or the personal and professional skills course, which is really great as well. Well, I think I'm going to let the students jump off because we're about ready to just open it up to full. If you can stay, great. But if you have to go, I know, Ellie, I think you had to run. If you have to run, go ahead. But if you want to stay, great. I'm not kicking you out. But
I saw there's a couple of really good questions that popped up in the chat. And the
Yeah.
first one is just a clarification. How many years of language B study, does a diploma candidate need to take?
Well, that's a great question. Generally speaking, it's pretty much all 4 years, because if the student is going to be ready for language, even at the standard level exam by the end of their senior year, they will need to come in doing language their freshman and sophomore year. So actually the people that ask what should students, freshmen and sophomores, be doing if they want to do the diploma, they should be studying a language, either French or Spanish. Absolutely. Do you have to sign up for the college credit exams? Yes. Thank you for asking that. Yes. You can't, and Mr. Grimm and I will do a big push of information in the fall of like, sign up for exams, because you've got to actually sign up, and you do have to pay. They're not free. So the state of Oregon subsidized every person's exam this year by $25, which brought the exams down to $100 each, which definitely can seem like a lot if you're an IB diploma student and you've got 6 exams you have to take. So yes, absolutely. However, if you go in as a sophomore to Oregon College, say, U of O, you've just saved $18,000 that you didn't have to spend on your freshman year of college. Also, if students can qualify for free and reduced lunch, the exams are completely paid for by the state, 100%. So there's that. It is not cheap, but they're roughly $100 an exam. And yes, you absolutely have to sign up for them. Sign language does not count as a second language for the diploma, but it does for the career-related program. No, it is not possible to do ASL at PCC for the diploma program. Unfortunately, it's got to be one of the 2 language classes we offer at Southridge, which are French and Spanish. Let's see. Are there any other questions in the chat that we haven't gotten? So the question about incoming sophomores, definitely make sure you're taking a language if you want to do the diploma. If you want to just do the IB course or the CP, like Mr. Grimm said, take some CTE classes. Are there other questions that we want to? Oh, that's a good question. How many exams do students need to take per year? Generally speaking, the most not generally speaking, if they're in the diploma, the most they can take their sophomore year is 2. And then they would take 4 their senior year, but it's more likely that they might take 1 their junior year and then 5 their senior year. Yeah. And yes, thank you, Jasmine. I hope that continues, that you get dual credit at PCC. We'll have to we'll have to see. I would recommend to most students doing the diploma program to try to get one of the exams out of the way if they can their junior year, but it doesn't always work. And every year we have some seniors doing all 6 at the end of their senior year, which can be stressful. But that's again why the exam session lasts so long. It lasts for 3 weeks. So they're not doing 6 exams on one day, because that would just be awful. Yeah, there are some dual, yes, we do have some dual credit courses. I'm just gonna go through, which is great, like anatomy and Mr. Bootzer's class is dual credit, I believe, too. So kids that do the health careers program can get college credit that way as well. Writing 121 is one that you can get college credit for. It's not an IB course, but we have kids every year do both. Oh, great. Yeah. Yes, that's a good, yeah, anthropology, you could get it out of the way. Just really quickly, in the university recognition, someone had asked earlier, and Mrs. Frank answered it too. College credit is law in Oregon. However, there are lots and lots of other schools around the country that give college credit for IB exams. Washington does. Now, the Ivy League schools are less likely to give you college credit for exams, but you would not get in if you hadn't taken IB courses. So there's that. And
it varies wildly by university, and some universities only give credit for HL classes.
Yes.
Some require a score of 6 or 7. Some will accept a score of 5. So it really varies wildly.
Right. So did you guys, I'm assuming, just contacted every university or looked at their website and found their IB policy?
Exactly. And she didn't use it as a factor for which school to attend. It was just going to help wherever she went.
Right. Yes. Thank you. So it sounds like Purdue offers quite a few.
Well, but they require higher scores. You have to have a 6 or 7 on most exams.
Okay. All right. Well,
whereas Oregon accepts a 4.
Yes, that's true. Oh, good question. What is a 4? It's like we get IB has got a whole different language. And once you're in it, you think, well, it totally makes sense. But before you're in it, you have no idea what's happening. And I felt like that for years. So it's like, what is going on? The IB schools are, the IB scores are on a 1 to 7 scale. And that's the external assessment combined with the internal assessment. And you can get a score of 1 to 7, 7 being the highest and 1 being that you didn't pass. And so when I say to get a 4 for college credit, you have to get a 4 out of 7. Sorry for not answering that sooner. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a recording of this. We're going to put it somewhere easily accessible, which I will let you know. I'm probably, we can post it on Canvas, Mr. Grimm. Does that sound like a good spot for people?
Sure. It struck me that we have one from last year, I think, on the website. We can just replace that with the updated one.
Great. Okay, we'll put it on the website, and we can also put it on that forecasting website as well that students are going to see in advisory starting tomorrow. And the other,
I wanted to, you might be going the same direction. I wanted to add that as more questions come up, as you start going through the details here, and students, especially as you start forecasting, know that there will be an announcement coming out in Canvas too. Miss Ballard and I will be running some office hours, virtual office hours, where you can pop in on Zoom and get those questions answered as you're actually doing the forecasting. And I think the first one will be the February 28th, which is that the Monday?
Yes. Thank you for saying that, Mr. Grimm, because that is going to be, that's just going to be the two of us in Zoom waiting for you guys to come and ask us questions. So if you've thought of something after this meeting that you're like, oh, I didn't think of that, I wish I would have put it in the chat, or oh, I didn't, just come to the Zoom office hours, or send
and
us
that link will go out in a Canvas announcement.
Yes. So thank you guys so much for coming and spending your evening with us. Students, we really appreciate you guys volunteering to be here. So much better to hear from you guys than us, although I think people heard a lot from me. Sorry about that. But if you have any questions and you'd like to stick around for a few minutes, but or like we said before, contact us, come to office hours. And thank you guys so much for coming. We really appreciate it. And we hope you have a wonderful, wonderful evening. All right. Thank you. Gracias. Hasta luego.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you. Yes, yes. High level of motivation, but I would say that I think if a student wants to do it and has the desire to do it, they can do it. If a student doesn't want and I'm talking about the diploma here. If a student wants to do the diploma, they have to have the motivation to do the diploma. Because motivation and time management, when you guys say, those are big. But anyone can take an IB class of any sort of thing they're just interested in. Like, oh, I'm just interested in design tech. I think I'll take that class. That sounds good to me. But the diploma or the career related program, yes, there needs to be some motivation for sure. Yeah. Yes. And tell your daughter to come visit anytime too. My office is C210 in Southridge. Any other questions? Thank you guys. CTE good contact would be Mr. Grimm first, and then he can tell you do you have a specific one, Sydney's mom?
No, not sure. This is for her brother. And so we're just
Okay.
in early stages.
Okay, so talk to Mr. Grimm. Have him go talk to Mr. Grimm in the library.
Sounds great. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Thank you. And yes, anyone can always drop. I love that you keep adding that, Jasmine.
I like how Jasmine continues to add that.
I said it. Did I just say it once? Why?
I do think that's important point though, because I don't know, if it's not a good fit, you can't always drop. But I feel like a lot of people can underestimate their ability at first. And so like that's what I did is I was like, I'm probably not able to do it. But then once I started it, I was like, I actually am liking this. And so I continued with it. So I think
Yay.
that's,
Go Brooklyn. And you know what? You're not alone. I have students, and also in the CP, I had a student last year who was like, 2 years ago, I'm not going to be able to do it. But she just tried and was like, I like it. I like these people. And I think I can do it. Thank you guys so much for coming, everybody. Yes, academic drive is a big part. I agree. If there are no other questions, then I'm going to just end the meeting and thank you again. Thank you, Jasmine, Sky, and Brooklyn. I really appreciate you being here. Anyone else has a question? No?
maybe we just want to stay on here and have a long talk. Okay.
What I should
I'm just putting off my math homework right now, actually, which is not good time management, but
I know Mr. Strawhall was like, you should bring Soul down so Jasmine can see her. And I was like, but I've got to run this meeting. I don't know.
well, you can bring Soul down really quick, Brooklyn's never met Soul face to face. So
that's true. Okay.
I haven't either.
Okay. All right. I'm going to stop the recording though.